A dispute over littering is the latest flashpoint in race relations between police and the public. Cell phone video of a white Fort Worth police officer arresting a black mother and her two daughters has been viewed more than 1 million times in just a matter of hours.
Oh, no, you're not, okay? They don't shoot that. We are on live. Don't grab her. Don't grab her. Do not grab her. Do not grab her. You're on live. You're on live. Don't move, mama.
The officer who appeared to point his taser at two of the women is now under investigation by Internal Affairs. Now, the woman in the white shirt, Jacqueline Craig, says she's the one who called police to complain that a neighbor choked her 7-year-old son for littering. Things went downhill quickly when the officer arrived. Craig and her daughters just returned home from jail and talked to reporters about what happened.
I really just want to get back to my family as normal right now. I don't know.
Craig's comments were brief following what has been a whirlwind of a day. Fox 4's Sean Rabb begins our coverage in the neighborhood where it happened. Sean.
And Natalie, it has been a whirlwind of a day with that video now being viewed online more than 1 million times. We are standing in front of the home where the man accused of choking Jacqueline Craig's 7-year-old son lives. Just a few moments ago, police were called out here, 911. We learned they were called because of us and the many media present along the sidewalk here and outside this home. The incident really happened along the side of the house yesterday afternoon. Now, everyone who's seen the video, from the public here in Fort Worth to police experts and those who consult police departments, are wondering how the mother who called 911 because of her son and what he said happened to him, how the mother and her two daughters could go to jail. Protest in downtown Fort Worth sparked by this. The arrest of Jacqueline Craig and her two daughters caught by iPhone, gone viral on Facebook. Craig called 911 complaining a neighbor who the officer is talking to choked her 7-year-old son because he threw trash in his yard and refused to pick it up. We pick up her conversation with the officer who answered her call for help.
My son is 7 years old. You don't have the right to grab him, choke him behind no paper that he threw. What you should have done, because we have been living here for years, so you know that my house is a door in between yours. You could have came to me. Don't put your hands on my son.
Why did you get your son off the litter?
He can't prove to me that my son littered. But it doesn't matter if he did or didn't. It doesn't give him the right to put his hands on it.
Craig's voice raises as the officer begins his questions about her son, including why she doesn't teach him not to litter.
Because you just pissed me off telling me what I teach my kids and what I don't.
Craig's 15-year-old daughter tries to push her mother back. She's pushed away. Other kids run up and are pushed. Craig, taken to the ground, taser on her back, then pointed at the daughter. People are cursing the officer. Craig, the 15-year-old, and the 19-year-old behind the cell phone camera are all arrested. Craig's charged with resisting arrest or transport and failure to identify as a fugitive. She had outstanding traffic warrants. Her 19-year-old daughter, Breer Hyman, charged with resisting and interfering with public duties.
When I look at that video, you really don't know why she was arrested.
Dr. Robert Taylor teaches criminology and policing at University of Texas at Dallas. He's used as a police expert and consults Ferguson, Milwaukee, and Charlotte, who've experienced civil unrest following police-public confrontations.
And I don't quite understand that kind of behavior on the part of the officer. When officers are taught and trained over and over again that when we go to neighborhood disturbances, there's going to be people yelling at you. You've just got to be professional through the whole thing.
The unidentified officer is not on administrative leave, but has been placed on restricted duty until the investigation is done. Internal Affairs detectives were in the home of the man who allegedly choked Craig's son for about an hour and in the neighborhood looking for witnesses. No one answered our knock at the door. Craig's attorney, Lee Merritt, tweeted this picture of her and a daughter in the Mansfield jail while waiting release.
The officer was not at all interested in the assault of the 7-year-old child, but was more concerned with the accusations of the assailant, that he had litter in his yard.
As Craig and her daughter were leaving jail, Fort Worth police emailed a statement acknowledging the video raises questions. We ask that our investigators are given time and opportunity to thoroughly examine this incident and to submit their findings. This process may take time, but the integrity of the investigation rests upon the ability of the investigators to document facts and to accurately evaluate the size and scope of what transpired. We ask our community for patience and calm during this investigative process. Craig and her daughter returned home from jail.
As well as police officers, human beings, period, you have some good and some bad.
Now, the 15-year-old who was taken to juvenile has also been released. Everyone's been released, but now, at least for now, all still face charges. Natalie?
All right, so Sean, you included part of the Fort Worth Police Department statement in your report. Has there been any word from Police Chief Joel Fitzgerald?
No, Natalie, it's been silent from Chief Fitzgerald. This would be his first test in the community as chief of the Fort Worth Police Department. And I think a lot of people today wanted to hear from him. They wanted to see him and hear him say something about, let us investigate, let us determine what happened, let us interview the officer who has 2 days now before he gives his statement. I've also learned he's a longtime veteran who had apparently nothing in his record of excessive force or conflict with citizens in the past. But I think folks wanted to hear from Joel Fitzgerald and see leadership from him leading his department through this right now crisis in this community.
Sure. All right. We'll have to wait and see if that happens. Sean Rabb, thank you for the thorough reporting.